Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I want to talk about only playing Dungeons and Dragons, air quote. All right, so recently I was recently accused of saying you should only play Dungeons and Dragons. And actually the commenter said, okay, so let me set this up all the way. So basically I recently did two videos that said these are the top 10 tabletop role-playing games you should stop playing immediately to be ready to play the 2024 Dungeons and Dragons Infinity Edition, right? And so that's the 2024 core rule books, the PHB, the DMG, the Monster Manual. When we receive these, we're going to get the first edition that we're going to get not a first edition. We're going to get an edition that ends all editions. There will only be Dungeons and Dragons at that point, forever, and all the way back till 1974. There's just Dungeons and Dragons. There are no editions. The editions or wars are over because there is only one edition. The Dungeons and Dragons Infinite Edition goes back, goes forward, remains in the present. D&D editions are done, right? And I was like, hey, if you're running these 10 games, stop playing immediately. Spin and actually immediately begin to finish your campaigns so you're ready to play D&D D&D Infinite Edition, right? Immediately begin your stop, right? Like decelerate your campaign, right? Now, I did not say stop immediately, don't finish your campaigns. I'm like, arbitrarily quickly end your campaigns, and that means you might have to throw out half the stuff in your notebook and all your plans and everything you've been building for 3.5 years. And so I am telling people, hey, these are the top 10 table, and link below, you'll see that whole video, that whole 2-part video, right? And what I wanted to explain about this is the reason why we're talking about this is I love what I do here. I am a Dungeons and Dragons commentator, right? And I put out videos that I'm like, this is going to get 20,000, this is going to get 25,000 clicks. This is the best thing I've ever created. Gets 4 clicks, right? And then I get stuff that I'm like, I don't even think about it. I just upload it and I'm like, that'll be 40 views, right? Like, and they get 2,500 views. It's like, there's no rhyme or reason to it. These 2 videos were not my most watched videos. They are some of my most commented videos. The ratio, right? Like the number of people who watched it, if like 100 people watched it, way more than that watched it, if 100 people watched it, 80 of them commented. It was like, I've never seen anything like that. Like it's just the amount of people who, almost everybody who watched commented. It was ridiculous, right? And in there, I saw a question that was it made me stop, right? So many of my comments are like, hey, I watch, on these two videos, so many of the comments were just like, hey, I watch a bunch of Grognard channels. Let me spout the Grognard playbook at you, and I'm like, okay, whatever, thanks. And actually I did say thanks. And the reason why is it's engagement. They're watching the video, they're commenting. I want to comment back if I can. It's engagement. I get it, right? I'm thankful for all engagement. Unless you're some caustic, horrible monster demon, then I'm not thankful for that. Those are incredibly rare, easily only 1 in 100. 99% of the people who comment are either agree. I'm totally okay if you agree with me or disagree with me. I just don't want you to diagnose me, and I don't want you to ad hominem me. That's where I'm going to get, and that did happen on this one, sure enough, right? Let me get to the point here. Okay. So in the comments, there was a question that said, why are you saying only play D&D? That's like telling people to only go to a Greek restaurant. And I was like, whoa, that's a good question. So first of all, I'm not telling people to only play D&D, right? I literally said in 2024, run 2 or 3 more sessions of your OSR and indie games, right? And then immediately abruptly, swiftly end that campaign, right? End that campaign. And be ready and ready your group for the Dungeons & Dragons Infinite event, which I think is going to be which I think will be the most significant tabletop event ever, bar none. I think it's going to be huge, right? I actually think the the D&D Infinite Edition, every single element, PHB, DMG, Monster Man, I think it's going to sell out. I think it's going to be like Lorcana. I think we could see scalpers, legit, right? Like, in my humble opinion, I think it's going to be huge, right? And anybody who gets those books, it's going to be celebration, hallelujah, at those tables, right? Because they have something special, something unique, and they can enjoy it right in that moment. And in order to do that, you need to shut down all these other OSR and indie campaigns. And yes, I'm understanding, right? You know, your group's been working toward the dragon for 3.5 years, but you need 9 more months. You need to shut that down, right? Like, that's the way it is, period, in my humble opinion, right? And so I am saying that, right? But I'm saying, hey, run 3 more sessions of your nonsense OSR, nonsense indie campaign. Get ready for the real, right? The D&D Infinite, so that your table can be a part of the celebration of tabletop role-playing games overall. Why am I saying only eat at one restaurant? Here's why. Okay, there's a lot of reasons. I'm just going to give you one reason today. Okay, I believe Dungeons and Dragons fundamentally makes people better people. When you do Dungeons and Dragons, when you run Dungeons and Dragons, when you act in Dungeons and Dragons, right? Whether you're a dungeon master or a dungeon performer, most people call dungeon performers D&D players. I call them dungeon performers. It's a more accurate title. So if you're a dungeon performer or if you're a dungeon master, you'll become a better person. On the dungeon master side, I'm just gonna. Let me say this as quick as I can. Unlimited purview. Once you're a dungeon master, literally the entirety of the human experience is now yours to master, and that makes you a better person. The dungeon performer, they start with a character sheet. The character sheet literally explains life and the importance of life. Strength is least important. Dexterity is next important. Your health, constitution is next important. Your intelligence is the 4th most important things in your life. Your charisma, your emotion, your feeling is the 5th most important thing in life. And the pinnacle of life is wisdom. It literally shows it on the character sheet. Like the minute you play, you put ink to the character sheet, you understand life better, right? Dungeons and Dragons makes you a better person. No OSR, no indie in the world does. And the reason why is it's a copy. The reason I want everybody at the D&D restaurant is the D&D restaurant actually serves real food. Every OSR and indie game serves Play-Doh. It's edible. It won't kill you, but it's not going to actually feed you. There's no nutrients there. There's no sustenance there because they're just copies. They don't carry Gary Gygax's legacy. So yes, I am saying only eat at one restaurant, right? Like for the majority of your time, for 51% of your time. And this restaurant deserves your prioritization. And you should be extremely wary of ever eating at any other restaurant because in this analogy, only Dungeons and Dragons actually serve food, right? Every other restaurant serves Play-Doh, and it looks great, and they've used all the colors, right? But it tastes like salt and paste, right? Like, you know, and it won't kill you, right? But it isn't going to help you. So great question to the commenter. That is just one reason you should play Dungeons & Dragons as your primary, as your 51%, and reduce all your OSR and indie play to the absolute minimum. And in 2024, while any of the D&D Infinite books are out, you should play nothing but D&D, in my humble opinion. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.